What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Z Sports and Entertainment. I am Z, coming to you from the basement. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the preseason NCAA top 25 list. Um, College football kicked off this past Saturday. Um, no top 25 teams played. It was kind of just get everybody's feet wet with the upcoming season, so everybody could know what was coming. I think the biggest game this weekend was like Nebraska and Northwestern or something like that. Um, Pretty good game. Pretty good game. Uh, Texas transfer Casey Thompson transferred to Nebraska, so he got his first game in with the Cornhuskers. He looked pretty good. Just as much as people want Scott Foster to succeed at Nebraska, I just don't know if it's gonna happen, man. It's just starting to feel like, I don't know. You want someone who went to the school to be able to succeed there and do great things, but I don't know. We'll see what Nebraska does for the rest of the season. Um, let's get it started. During the video, I'm gonna have the top 25 listed over here, probably up here, but you guys can just keep it along as I talk, and if it's anything I missed or if it's anything that you guys feel I need to talk about or didn't talk about, let me know, put it in the comments, and we'll get to it. All right, we're gonna start number 25, BYU. If I'm being honest with you, in my opinion, has one of the best quarterbacks in the country. This is the guy that took over for Zach Wilson when he got drafted, and I think last year, from a numbers perspective, his numbers may have been better than Wilson's. I just don't know if the team was that successful, but I think this kid has. I think he could do what Zach Wilson already did, but he adds like an extra dynamic with his legs. He can really use his legs and be effective in the run game as well. They did lose a 1,700 yard rusher to the Falcons in the draft. So we'll see how the backfield looks. But BYU always seems to produce pretty good backs. Don't really know what the team looks like as a whole. But with them being 25, they not much room for error if they want to move up in these rankings. 24, Houston. I'll be real with you. I don't really know what Houston has. Houston, I'm pretty sure they're going to be a well-coached, disciplined, good football team. Pretty surprised to see them as high as they were at 24. To be honest with you, I was actually kind of surprised to see them in the top 25 at all, especially when you have teams like Tennessee, Texas, Iowa, Penn State, LSU. I mean, you got teams on the outside looking in, man. Seriously. But we'll see what Houston does. We will see what Houston does, and we'll look back at this video and see if the guys who put this list together were right or not. Cincinnati is a huge question mark for me. And the reason being, Cincinnati was up there with Georgia as far as number of players drafted. Cincinnati lost a lot of talent. I mean, they lost a lot of talent, especially in the secondary. I mean, they lost Sauce Gardner, Kobe Bryant on the offensive side of the ball. I think they lost their number one receiver. I know they lost Desmond Ridder. Cincinnati lost a lot of good football players. Luke Fickell has his hands full this season. Cincinnati coming in at 23. 22, Wake Forest. I was very high on Wake Forest going into the season up until a couple of weeks ago. Their quarterback, Hartman, I don't know if he was a top quarterback, being projected to come out in the upcoming draft, but he was definitely. After the season he had last year, I could definitely see him being a guy that gets drafted second, third, fourth round He could possibly even slide into that first if one of those guys fall out and he has an exceptional season. But due to a non-football injury, he's going to be sidelined, and unfortunately, we don't know how long. So, I'm praying for you, Mr. Hartman. Wake Forest. That's very unfortunate. That sucks. And I just prayers, man. Hope you get well soon. Hope that team can play and keep the winning going until you get back. Wake Forest was in the ACC championship game last year against Pitt. They did not win, but they did make it. We'll see. It kind of feels like they're 22 because of him. So if he's not able to play, they might not be able to hold on to that spot for a very long time. Got Ole Miss coming in at 21. And, how is Lane Kiffin going to replace, Matt Corral? I know you got, Jackson Dart? You got Jackson Dart from USC. So you would think that that's like a seamless plug and play. But we don't know. Matt Corral had a lot of talent. But Lane Kiffin seems to be one of the best offensive minds who can put some stuff together, man. So, in that SEC West, it's gonna be tough for them. It's gonna be tough for Ole Miss, to not necessarily stay relevant, because they'll be relevant. It's just they haven't been to Atlanta in a long time, and it's just one of those things. Right after them at 20, we got Kentucky. I don't know if it's Levis or Levis. I don't know which one it is, so we're just going to call him Big Will. Big Will in Kentucky, number 7. Again, kind of feels like the same thing with Wake Forest. You kind of feel like Kentucky is right there because of him. Granted, Kentucky does have a good all-around football team. They do have, pieces. In my opinion, they lost their best defender in Eric Pascal last year in the draft, so we'll see how he's replaced. But Kentucky, I think Kentucky's going to be one of those teams that you don't want to play. They're going to give you everything they got. They're going to give you a dogfight. It's just going to be one of those rough, hard-nosed games that you're going to have to just thug it out and win. Will they be able to hold this level of play? And I'm talking top 20 level of play. My apologies, guys. I don't want to stop this video, so I'm going to put this on the charger. Just ignore me. Oh, wrong side. Bam. Press that. Bam. And we back. All right. Kentucky, 20. I'm more interested to see this quarterback than I am to see them as a team, honestly. I'm really looking forward to the Georgia-Kentucky matchup, because to me that's what NFL defenses are going to look like. So I think I'll get like a true full analysis of this kid, once they play Georgia. Pitt coming in at Arkansas, 19. Whew. You still got Jefferson at quarterback. You did lose Burt to the Titans in the first round. Arkansas just seems to be one of those teams that kind of just puts it together. They're like, last year they were good. Last year the Arkansas football team was very good, and they played some good football, man. Jefferson is in my opinion a stud. Do I think he can, take his game to the next level? I do, but I still don't know if it'll translate in more wins or just wins, period. Wisconsin at 18. Wisconsin is Wisconsin. I don't think they're a top 10 program at the moment, like they were a couple years ago with the Jonathan Taylors and the Corey Clemens and the Melvin Ingrams and, things like that. I do think they're still top 25 worthy, but I don't know. Still going to be heavy run, still going to be limited passes, and they're going to play through their defense. Are they going to be able to keep up in the Big Ten? That's the question, because the Big Ten, just from looking right now, is not necessarily top heavy, but the top teams in the Big Ten, it ain't no joke. So Wisconsin, they got some work to do, man. Pitt, this one surprised me. Pitt coming in at 17. No Kenny Pickett, no Addison at receiver. You're losing the first round quarterback and the top receiver in the nation. Like, no joke. You are able to replace Kenny Pickett with the quarterback from USC. I don't want to mispronounce his name. I know he's number 9. He's the guy that took over for Sam Darnold. I think I could be wrong, but so you replace Kenny Pickett to an extent, but that Jordan Addison, that's gonna be tough because that he's a baller. Like, real talk, he's a baller. He is a flat out baller. I mean, well, we'll see. We'll see what Pitt does. They may have some hidden gems. They may. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Pitt does at 17. But again, there are a lot of good teams on the outside looking in, and oh man, it could get ugly quick. It could get ugly quick. Miami. I want to see Miami play this year because remember those quarterbacks I was talking about, those 5 or 6 quarterbacks that was projected to go in the first round. Well, Miami has one of those guys, Van Dyke. And I'll be real with you, I haven't really seen him play that much. But from what I have seen, he seems legit. I mean, he seems to be able to make all the throws. He's big. He's hard to bring down, and I'm not just saying that from like a run perspective. He's hard to bring down, like sacking him. I mean, I don't know him, Will Levis, potentially Hartman. I mean, this season is going to be quarterback driven, quarterback based. What is the team of Miami going to do? They got new head coach coming from Oregon. You want to see Miami do good. You want to see the U do good. You want to see them compete in the ACC. It's just better when Miami's competitive. It is. It's just so much better with Miami competitive. And I don't know how true it is, but I think I saw some renderings of them getting a new potential stadium. I think they need a stadium. Miami hasn't had their own stadium since the Orange Bowl. It went from the Orange Bowl to playing at where did they go from there? They went from there to playing at the Dolphin Stadium. And you're in Miami, man, with a program like that, with everything going on down there. In my opinion, there's just no reason they shouldn't have a team. I mean, there's just no reason they shouldn't have their own stadium. They probably got their own facilities, but they should have their own team. They should have their own stadium. I don't know why I keep saying that. But Miami at 16, will it hold? Personally, I don't think so, but it could. You got a good quarterback, you can go a long way, man. You got a good quarterback, you can go a long way. Michigan State coming in at 15. I'm curious to see how they're going to replace Kenneth Walker. He was about all of their offense. But Michigan State, I mean, I feel like we know what we're going to get from them. Defense heavy, run heavy, selective pass. They're going to play their brand of football. And their brand of football seems to produce winning. USC at 14. It's just a lot of question marks. We've talked about USC a lot when we spoke on the NCAA. You got Lincoln Riley, you got Caleb Williams, you got all these Oklahoma transfers, you got all these transfers in general. You got recruits switching up commitments and things like that. I don't know what we're going to get from USC. Personally, I hope USC comes out here and balls out. Seriously, I do. I hope they come out here and just truly just everybody up. And I got high hopes for USC. I think USC is going to do good things this year. I really do. I can't even speak on all the specifics and things like that, but I really think USC is going to be a good football team. North Carolina State coming in at 13. Don't really know much about North Carolina State. I'll be honest with you, I don't. But they always seem to have somewhat of a good quarterback. They always have a good O-line. North Carolina State produces some of the best O-linemen. Like, seriously. I mean, what will the Wolfpack do? And I was watching the North Carolina versus Florida Lord have mercy, Florida A&M. And even though it's Florida A&M, and I know that, you know, North Carolina's going to play much better competition throughout the season. North Carolina look good. The offense look good. That offense, North Carolina's offense look good. The guy replacing Sam Howell looks good. Them at 13 though, that seems a little crazy. I mean, that's high. That's high. Oklahoma State coming in at 12. Kind of the same thing. Don't really know much about Oklahoma State. We don't know. I don't know what Mike Gundy's gonna do up there this year. It is because Oklahoma State, they can kill you with the pass. They can kill you with the run. I mean, Oklahoma State is one of those teams that can have a 4,000-yard passer, 2,000-yard receivers, and a 1,500-yard back. And you're like, how the hell is their offense on the field that much? Well, they're in the Big 12. And I'm sorry, I'm sticking with that stigma of the Big 12. There is no defense. You take, especially if you was to take Baylor, if you take Baylor out of the Big 12, there's really no defense in there. I mean, seriously. Oregon at 11. Oregon, I'm curious to watch Oregon this year for a couple of reasons. For one, I just like Oregon as a team. Facilities, you know, uniforms, colors, the whole thing. Going back to Mariota, going back to Darren Thomas, going back to Jeremiah Masoli. I'm talking about we going back there. But and for, you know, the main reason, Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is the Georgia defensive coordinator last year who got the opportunity to go coach at Oregon. But the one thing I respect about Dan Lanning was this. Dan Lanning requested that he finish his duties at Georgia before he come to Oregon. That's big. That's respectful because a lot of guys just get the job and go. So the fact that he stuck around until the job was done, I salute you, man. I wish you nothing but the best. Except on September 3rd. September 3rd is going down in the bins, and y'all ain't, nah. It ain't going, nah. Sorry, bro. Baylor at 10, just speaking of Baylor. Baylor, top 10 team, I think so. Especially, I think they're the highest. Yeah, Baylor's the top team according to this. Nope, I'm wrong. Ignore that. I think Baylor's going to be a good team. Returning quarterback, solid defense. They know who they are as a football team. The Baylor's thing is consistency. Like, consistency. The year before last, you go to the Sugar Bowl against Georgia. Unfortunately, you don't win. Last year, I don't know where they ended up, but they had a pretty damn good season. I like Baylor at 10. I do. I don't know if the Big 12 is going to have a championship game this year. I'm pretty sure they will. Do I think that interesting. Oklahoma's at 9. And I'm going to be watching Oklahoma real close this year because of Frank Venables. Frank Venables has been the defensive coordinator at Clemson, it seems like, since I've been alive. And a lot of people wonder, why ain't this guy taking a job? He waited for the perfect opportunity, and I feel like that opportunity was in Oklahoma. Frank Venables, he brought some players with him from Clemson. He brought some coaches with him from Clemson. He is the recruiter at Clemson. Not probably officially, but Dan Lanning's the guy that gets him in. I said Dan Lanning. Frank Venables is the guy that gets him in, man. And he's going to be good for Oklahoma. He's going to be good. You got your quarterback from Central Florida. They're going to be fine. I think Oklahoma's going to be fine. I don't think they're going to be this pass-happy, offensive-heavy team anymore. They're going to be more balanced. They're going to be more consistent. The one thing that I still think isn't going to change is them having great records, them potentially making it to the college football playoff, and them not winning it. If Frank Venable could do that, if they get to the college football playoff, not this year, not next year, but somewhere within his first contract, and they just win one playoff game, that's it. We just need one playoff game. He solidified. He did something Bob Stoops, is it Bob or Mark? He did something Stoops didn't do. and he would do something Lincoln Riley didn't do. Stoops is considered a college football coach legend, and Lincoln Riley just got a hell of a payday at USC. So if he can do that, mission accomplished. Seriously. 8, we got Michigan. Michigan's going to be Michigan. Top 10 team, hell of a defense, NFL-based offense. It's going to come kind of just like Oklahoma. Can they do it when it counts? Are you going... The main thing that got Michigan over the hump was, are you going to be able to beat Ohio State? Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin. Those are the 4 games in the Big 12, in the Big 10, that if you win at least 3 of them, you good. You good. If Michigan can win at least 3 of those games, but one of those 3 has to be Ohio State, they're good, and they're probably in the college football playoff again. That's just real talk. Can they do that, though? Can John Harbaugh put together that type of season again last year? You got a taste of it. Georgia knocked the taste out of your mouth in Miami, but you got a taste of it. Utah at 7, coming in as the highest rated Pac-12 team. Utah's good. They don't really have the exciting players, and they don't, Utah's good. Utah's good. They're going to be a team that on the West Coast is definitely not going to be taken lightly. But I feel like if they pop up on the East Coast, where the East Coast team has to go to Utah, they're going to take them lightly. I don't know. Personally, I think USC is going to win the Pac-12 this year. But them going through Oregon and Utah is going to have to happen. And if Lincoln Riley can do that, they might be looking at a promising future. A&M at 6. I'm going to be watching A&M closely. The whole, Jimbo recruit situation is going to be curious. How many of these freshmen are going to come in and make an immediate impact? How many people from last year's team are going to, if I'm not mistaken, A&M was that one loss to Bama last year? Am I tripping? I don't know. For some reason, that's blanking me. But I think A&M was Bama's only loss. So if that is the case, Saban's coming for revenge. It's already some animosity, it's pressure, it's tension in the air. It's a lot with surrounding this team. Just off rip, it's hard to go against them being 6, because you almost have to pin Bama in as a loss. I don't know if they play Georgia this year, but if they could somehow finish the season 1 loss only to Bama, or 2 losses to Bama and another, high-ranking team, or not even necessarily high-ranking team, or SEC opponent, they might be able to squeak into the 6. They might be able to squeak into the 6. So I said the 6. It's 4. My bad. I'm tripping. Notre Dame at 5. Marcus Freeman, you got big expectations. I would even say you got big shoes to fill. I see Notre Dame going in a different direction. I see Notre Dame becoming more modern. I see Notre Dame becoming more... I see Notre Dame just being in the limelight more. They have a young, enthusiastic, energetic head coach who seems to be all about football. He's a defensive coordinator, so that side of the ball shouldn't be an issue. I think it is going to be a transition, though, going from an offensive head coach to a defensive head coach. The guys that are put in place on offense, it's going to be a heavy workload. You don't have Kelly there anymore to step by step these guys, so you guys are going to have to do it. Not to say Marcus Freeman can't coach football, because he wouldn't have got the head coaching job if he wasn't capable. But I just think I don't know. I real talk. I don't see Notre Dame having the best season. Um, I see them finishing like 8-4, 9-3, and just simply because they gonna have that Notre Dame that's that schedule they always got. Notre Dame always plays USC. Notre Dame always plays Stanford, and for some reason Stanford gives teams fits. They gonna have a tough schedule, and it's no way around that. They gonna have to buckle up and play ball. And the one thing that I feel is continuing to kill Notre Dame is they're not in the conference. No conference championship game. I mean, you going 11-1, 12-0, 10-2 as an independent. You're really basing your hopes of making the playoff on strength of schedule. And I don't know if I would want to do that. I just don't. You got Clemson at 4. I'm high on Clemson. I like Clemson. Defense is going to be stellar. It's going to be killer. Clemson is not going to have another season like they had last year. The only question is quarterback. Is DJ going to be the quarterback? Is the other guy going to be the quarterback? Who's the quarterback in Clemson? Who's going to be the quarterback in Clemson? DJ's probably going to get the first shot for sure. And I like DJ a lot, so I really hope he can capitalize and make this thing count. But they say this other guy's coming on strong. They say he's making a hard case not to be on the field, man. So we'll see. I think Clemson is going to get back to the top of the ACC. Potentially undefeated, 11-1 type deal. And I think they're going to get back to the playoff, if I'm being honest with you. Georgia Bulldogs coming in at 3. I get it. A lot of players got drafted. A lot of players graduated. But this is no joke. I still truly believe, and maybe this is because I just know Georgia a lot more in depth, excuse me, than the other teams. But if Stetson Bennett comes out here and stinks it up, we got quarterbacks. Our running back by committee isn't necessarily, because we don't have a guy. Our running back by committee is because we have multiple guys. Georgia, their offense is Todd Monken's has his hands full because there's a lot of footballs to go around. You lose Jermaine Burton, right? But you got Reggie Bullock. Not Reggie. You got Bullock coming back off injury, who's probably going to fill that void. You lose George Pickens. But Armani Mitchell is coming right in to fill that void, which he already got a taste of last year when Pickens was out. You got 81. Don't even get me started on the tight ends. Seriously, don't. We got 4 tight ends. We could have a trips formation with all tight ends and still, it's crazy. It's what we can do from the tight end position is unbelievable. It's ridiculous. And defense, I just know the guys that are replacing the guys that got drafted. I can't say that about all the other teams. So, Georgia coming in at 3, I understand. I completely understand. I think Georgia's going to have an undefeated regular season. I think Georgia's season is going to be very, very, very close and similar to their last season. The only thing I cannot put a stamp on is how last season ended. I don't know if that's how this season is going to end. Of course, I want it to. Of course, I hope it will. But I'm a realist. I know that in that championship game, Alabama was down their 2 top receivers. I know that. I know that Bryce Young was throwing to guys that hadn't really seen the field much all season. I know that. I know he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder because if you ask him, he was 1 step away from having the perfect season. SEC champ, Heisman, national champ. That's what you want. He came one step short. There is a chance that he could have the NFL already locked in his mind, so he's not really worried about it, but it's kind of hard not to have that mindset when your head coach is who your head coach is. I mean, Anyway, Georgia coming in at 3. I understand it. I get it. I don't like it, but it is what it is. It's a lot of football to play this season. And we'll know if they're a top team after week 1 because Oregon's going to give them, they're gonna give them all they got. Real talk. They're going to give them all they got. Ohio State at 2. I understand it. I get it. They're the only team that you probably could have put in between Bama and Georgia. Got a CJ Stroud. They got a good team. Got an all-American quarterback. May have the best running back in the Big Ten. May have the best receiver in the country. Got a nice O-line. You got multiple defensive prospects. You may have the best middle linebacker in the game. I like what Ohio State's bringing to the table, but again, it's going to come down to those 4 games. Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin. Can you win them? Can you win those games? And I think Ohio State can win those games. I hope CJ Stroud could get better from a consistency standpoint. He got better throughout the season, towards the end of the season. And I'm speaking on it from this perspective. Completion percentage. Quarterback rating. And what I mean by that is there were a lot of games where his, completion percentage was 55, 60. You going into the season, you're going into potentially being a top 5, top 10 pick. You right at the top of the Heisman, race. That needs to go to 65, 70. You need to have one of those 18 for 21 first halves against somebody. You know what I mean? You got to prove that you can rip that motherfucker 50, 60 times and complete 35, 40 of them. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. He could already be solidified, but I still think he has work to do. That's genuinely my opinion. And let's get to number 1. Boo! Bama. Alabama Crimson Tide, projected number 1 overall seed. Projected number one overall team in the preseason. Top 25. And you got Bryce Young. You seem to have the running backs. You got the transfer from Georgia Tech. You still got Trey Saunders. You still got the tight end, 81. You at receiver, you don't have Mechie. You don't have Williamson. My question with Alabama at receiver is, Jermaine Burton, the UGA transfer, you left Georgia to go to Alabama so that you could get the football. Which role are you stepping into? Are you stepping into the Jameson Williams role, or are you stepping into the Mechie role? My whole thing with Jermaine Burton was this. He could catch the football, he has great speed, and he runs good routes. But the one thing that questions me with him is he doesn't seem to be able to take a hit. When he takes a hit, and I mean like a hit, not just one of them ankle tackles, when he takes a hit, the ball gets a little loosey-goosey, you know what I mean? It starts to fly around a little bit, not necessarily from a fumbling perspective, but he gets hit, you can see it pop a little bit. He got to bring it back in, but Bama's going to be Bama. Unfortunately, that's just what it is. And if what Nick Saban is saying is true, they last season was a rebuild and whatever, we'll see, man. I'm so curious to see where this goes. I'm so curious to see what they do. We'll see. Bryce Young came out here as a redshirt freshman and turned the world upside down. Is he gonna do it again? And I'm probably gonna have to. I don't know. Bama, Ohio State, in no particular order. Bama, Ohio State, UGA. And I'm truly, truly torn between Clemson and USC for the 4th playoff spot. Don't know who's going to be a higher seed between Bama and Georgia just because I don't know what's going to happen. Don't know how Ohio State's going to just 1 through 4, no order. Bama, Ohio State, USC, Bama, Ohio State, Georgia. And I got to put Clemson/USC for my 4th spot. Got to. Guys, that's my preseason top 25 review. It's going to be a crazy season. It's going to be a hell of a season. I'm looking forward to it and I'm looking forward to it specifically because the quarterback play is supposed to be so good this year that we could have teams that haven't been good in a long time be good. We could have teams that haven't been good ever be good. It's the quarterback play this season is going to be key. It's going to be crucial. It's going to be, to me, everything. And I'm looking forward to it. I just can't wait, guys. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, share. I appreciate you guys, man. Seriously. Love you guys. Z.